This is the beginning of a series I'm going to do of stories about Master Hsuan Hua. Stories that I actually witnessed myself, of course, not what I've heard about or read about. I'm always asked to tell stories, and I seldom like to tell stories because Shifu mostly taught true principle, and so I like to talk about that, meditation and Buddhist philosophy and ideas and what practice is all about and what the master actually taught. Nevertheless, there were a lot of often humorous stories to tell. One of the things about stories I should mention is that a lot of them had, two meanings. The meaning that would be humorous or funny funny and humorous are both the same thing, I guess. But so what I really want to say is that have a meaning for everyone, and then a very special meaning for the person that is involved in it. So often there are, double meanings to the stories. So let's begin with an incident that happened that I thought was very funny. Shifu was always teaching, and a lot of times when he was teaching, he just seemed to be a puppet in the hands of the Buddha and not really know what he was teaching or what he was supposed to do. And he would just be like a leaf blown around in the wind and be guided. It often seemed that way. So one time at Gold Mountain, there was some very well-to-do donors and friends from over the years that came by to visit the master and receive instructions and attend to him and make offerings. And I believe, if I remember correctly, they had lunch. Then it happened that the master, when they left, the master accompanied them outside, and I accompanied the master too. I was with them at the time that they left, and so I'd often walk around with the master. When we were at Gold Mountain, we were a small group of people, maybe 5 or 10 bhikshus and 5 or 10 bhikshunis, and oftentimes I'd just hang out with the master. Our rooms were directly across from each other, a few feet apart, and sometimes the master would come into my room, he came in every day, but several times, and sometimes I would just hear the master leaving his room. So I'd kind of, break my meditation and follow him around and walk with him up and down the halls and he'd visit other people in the other rooms and give them different instructions, what he wanted them to do or what he wanted them to work on. But it was all in Chinese, so I don't know what he was saying. And sometimes I'd see him get very, very angry and blow up at somebody, and I just stand there watching it all, and then when he was done, we'd just walk away like nothing happened, and Shifu would be right back to after throwing a big fit, he just immediately, like a lamp switched off, we'd go back walking up and down the halls like nothing ever happened. So one time these people came and visited. They stayed a few hours and then they left. And we walked out to the front of Gold Mountain, and there was 3 or 4 cars involved, and all the people were caravanning out. And so Shifu was saying goodbye and to different people, and they were all, as they were leaving. And then the last group of people, last car, Shifu said goodbye to them, and they said goodbye to him. But when they left, Shifu got in the car with them. They didn't expect that. But Shifu just decided, I don't even think he decided, I think he was just placed in the car by the Buddha. That's my view of how these things happen, because he didn't seem to plan on it at all. He just saw an open door, decided to get in. So Shifu got into the car, and then the car drove off. And Shifu inside. So I waited there at the curb, wondering about this whole thing, what was going on, because I knew Shifu wasn't planning on going, or they weren't planning on taking him anywhere. So sure enough, after a minute or two, the car comes back, and there's Shifu in the back seat by the window, and he's looking straight ahead like he's in samadhi. And the car just stops, you know. Of course, they would wish Shifu would get out, but of course, Shifu was in this incredible state, and he was just facing forward like nothing was going on, and he was perfectly still, and it really did look like he was in samadhi. He just sat there, and they waited a little bit, a minute or two, and then they drove off, you know, again. A few minutes later, they circle around, and they wait again. Shifu doesn't get out, he doesn't move, and he's just looking forward. He's not having a conversation with anyone. And I'm thinking, what are these poor people to do? You know, there's Shifu in the back seat, and they're stopping there, expecting him to maybe get out, but he's not. But what are you going to do? Are you going to tell Shifu, please get out of the car, get into your monastery? Anyway, they circled around 3 or 4 times before Shifu finally got out. That's a funny story. And who knows what it was teaching those people? Something.